In this section, we are going to understand checkpoint software blades architecture, gateway and management server software blades, and licensing overview. Software blade architecture. A software blade is a security solution based on a specific business need. Each blade is an application or module such as firewall, IPS, DLP, threat prevention, mobile access, IPsec VPN, and that is independent, modular, and centrally managed. Software blades and blade packages can be quickly enabled and configured on any gateway or management system, right? So basically, software blades are a software component, right? A software component, and they need to be licensed and enabled. For example, if like we have a checkpoint gateway, a firewall with only firewall software blade, and we want to use this security gateway to terminate VPN connections, SSL, IPsec, I mean like the remote access site to site. So for that, we need to enable IPsec VPN software blade and as well as mobile access if required. So at first place, they both should be licensed, and if licensed, then they both can be enabled and then used in like terminating VPN connections or security policy. So in checkpoint firewall, there are different software blades. They need to be licensed and enabled, and then we can like use them in security policies, right? Software blade architecture. So they are not like on single like physical or virtual appliance. We can like license and activate and enable different software blades here, different software blades as per the requirement, as per the need, as per the requirement, right? And of course, without any downtime, because software blade, they are software blades. Key benefits of software blade architecture: flexibility, management, total security, lower cost of ownership, and guaranteed performance, right? And here, like in checkpoint firewall, there are different types of software blades. Let's start with the first one. So first one is firewall, gateway security and identity awareness. The next one is IPsec VPN, secure connectivity to networks, mobile users, like terminating VPN connections, mobile access. The third one, remote access via SSL VPN, IPS, intrusion preventive system, so proactive intrusion prevention as a part of threat prevention. Application control, to identify application after performing deep inspection inside application data, right? So for that, we need to license and enable application control software blade, very important, along with URL filtering. So URL filtering is another software blade, integrates with application control, right? So they both are integrated, application control and URL filtering. Identity awareness. The next one is identity awareness, like to identify users. I mean like the user identification, user ID sort of thing. So we can integrate checkpoint like firewall with the lightweight directory access protocol LDAP even to query like users. So this is the next one. And DLP is another for like protect sensitive information from loss, like uh, leakage of data. So prevention from leakage of data, like different vendors like use different term for this DLP, like the data leakage or in a 5 ASM feature, the same feature is known as data guard. So data guard and Palo Alto is data filtering, but one of the same thing, like protecting like leakage of sensitive data. Antibot like detects infected machines and blocks attacks. Antivirus is another software blade, anti-spam and email security, threat emulation and threat extraction. Like prevents attack from 0 day. by executing suspicious files like sandbox technology, similar to wildfire in Palo Alto. And threat extraction provides proactive prevention of unknown attacks from day zero by sanitizing incoming files before delivering them to users. So they both are what? Threat prevention, in fact, software updates, threat emulation and threat extraction. And we also have management software updates, right? So not only the security gateway software updates, even management server has also software update. Network policy management provides comprehensive centralized network security policy management for gateways and software blade via single unified console. Then the next one is endpoint policy management. Centrally deploy, manage, and monitor security policy for endpoint devices across any sized organization. And the third one is logging and status information on security activity by logs. So these are what management server software blades, software blades. And then smart event consolidates monitoring, logging, reporting, and event analysis in single console. Compliance helps in optimizing security settings and comply with regulatory requirements. And let me show you how to enable like different software blades in checkpoint firewall. So here, like if you can see both checkpoint components here, like one is security gateway and the next one is management server here. SD1 is the gateway. And if I go to its properties, so here different software blades here. Like the one, I'm sorry, the one here like enabled by default is firewall. The next one is IPsec, mobile access, application control, URL filtering, identity awareness, content awareness, monitoring, DLP, anti-spam, and email security. They all are network security software blades. And the next one is threat prevention. So if I click here, threat prevention, then here like there will be IPS, threat extraction, and emulation, anti-bot and IPS. They all are what? Threat prevention. And if you want to read more about it, like what is this software blade means here, like IPS or anti-bot or antivirus, so you can just find out here complete information about that specific software blade here, right? Network security or management. So for example here, let's say as there is no application control and URL filtering software blade enabled here, and I want to use them application control and URL filtering in my security policy, so I cannot do that, right? So in order to control individual application, not the individual application, this application control software blade first, it has to be enabled here from here, and then only we can create a security policy to control a specific application, right? So it's similar to like app ID, application identification feature, application signature database, because without this application control, simply we can create security policy to allow applications on the basis of their destination ports only. I mean, like if you have allowed TCP port 80, it means all port 80 based applications will be allowed. All port 443 ports based applications will be allowed, right? So of course, different evasive tactics can be used to bypass the firewall. For example, like port hopping, protocol hopping, like tunneling inside another protocol, and that is why this application control software blade is required, right? Otherwise, your checkpoint firewall is like very much same as the traditional legacy firewalls like port and address-based firewall. So definitely this application control software blade is required. URL filtering is again a very important software blade here. So at least these two software blades need to be enabled. But here all software blades can be enabled here, right? Because we are running in demo mode with the trial version license, evaluation license with 15 days. That is why you can enable any software blade here. But what about like commercial purpose, like in production network, you cannot enable any software blade, right? So here like only licensed software blades can be enabled or disabled. So if you haven't like taken license for any specific software blade, so the option will be here, will not be available, grayed out. So you cannot enable or disable them. You must understand that, right? And not only enabling like this software blade is going to solve like all the purpose. I mean, like if let's say I've enabled both application control and URL filtering software blade from here, and it's a gateway software blade. You must remember this, right? So here it's a gateway, security gateway, checkpoint security gateway. It's not management server. So checkpoint security gateway, and if I just hit down the OK button from here, and if I go to security policies now, so now security policy, from security policy, we can control individual applications, right? Applications will be now identified properly, but for that again here, we need to first, we have to ensure that here in this security policy, like application and URL filtering, they need to be enabled from here. And then once it's all done, and if we create security policy, now here we would have the option to allow a control like any application. So instead of like for example, if you look at the security policy, then DNS, HTTP, HTTPS, echo requests, they all have been allowed. It's just like the port and address-based firewall sort of thing. Like all HTTP and HTTPS based applications will be allowed. Now here we can select individual application from the list, right? From here, application and sites and services. So now here we can select individual application, and they can be controlled with the security policy. Same if like we want to configure or terminate VPN. So for that, first step is enable IPsec VPN software blade from the gateway properties. Once it is done, then only you can configure VPN, right? And if again I show you the property page of SMS, that is management server. So again here like there are different software blades of management server, and by default this network policy management and logging and status, both software blades have been enabled by default, right? But if you want to enable compliance or like user directory or smart event, can be enabled here. So software blades like are of course different from the hardware blades. They all can be enabled on the same hardware platform or virtual platform. You don't really need different hardware platform. So it's not like in order to use IPS, you should have a dedicated hardware or virtual appliance. No, simply just take the license of IPS software blade, enable IPS software blade from the gateway properties, and then use IPS profile in the security policy, right? With different actions, of course, like detection or prevention mode. That depends like what kind of IPS policy you want to create. Whether prevention or detection mode is up to you or as per the requirement. But point here is a single chassis means because it's a next generation firewall, and even as per the requirement, if let's say you don't want like antivirus or anti-bot to be software blade to be enabled here, no need to pay for that, right? No need to pay for that because it's a software blades based licensing. So as per the requirement, and let's say initially you decided to use only the standard firewall software blade, no IPsec, no mobile access. Later on, let's say you decided to use IPsec or VPN software blade, that is possible. So at any point in time, you can do that, right? Okay. So software blades means like component, software component of checkpoint gateway and as well as management server. Management server. So I'm back to the slide here. So the next one is licensing overview. Okay. So a license contains the features and functionality of the purchased product and it specifies its terms of use, right? A checkpoint licensing is designed to be both scalable and modular to accommodate all inclusive software packages and custom solutions tailored to meet the needs of the organization, right? And there are two types of licensing here. One commonly used method is central license, right? Preferred and recommended method for of licensing. This one, central, ties the package license to the IP address of SMS. Important point here, right? So license is tied with the IP address of SMS, not with the gateway IP address. So as such, there is no dependency on the gateway IP address. For example, if like let's say you have one of the gateway, a different branch office or headquarter, a different location, right? And you want to use the same gateway, let's say after some time that location or the branch office has been like moved or shut down permanently, right? And you want to use this gateway device at different location. So do we need to contact with the checkpoint team in fact for the licensing or for other purpose? No, not exactly. We understand that even if like the device, the gateway, if the gateway has been moved from location A to location B, so the gateway public IP address definitely would get changed. We understand that because there are different ISPs, right? Here like different ISP, maybe ISP A, here different ISP. So public IP address of the gateway definitely would be different. So do we need to do something for that? No. Why? Because in central licensing, a central license is tied with IP address of SMS, not with the gateway IP address, not with the gateway IP address, right? So here gateway IP address doesn't play any important role here. Here like the important role is that of the management server IP address, not of the gateway IP address. So easily you can change the location of the security gateway. You can move the gateway from one location to another location, or even in case if like the public IP address of the gateway have been changed. So no need to worry about that. But what about the local licensing? If you take this local license that is tied with the IP address of specific security gateway, so cannot be transferred to a gateway with different IP address, right? Because local license is tied with the security gateway, that is not with the management server. And even like the complete licensing, central licensing can be managed from a centralized dashboard, that is a smart update. From here, complete licensing, when they are going to be expired and when they need to be renewed, and pushing our licenses to the security gateways, I mean like attaching and de-attaching, it's all done from a single, like again like this dashboard, like the smart update, right? So even like management wise is very easy. Centralized management from a smart update, centralized licensing and centralized management. It's very good. Central licensing. So